In March of 2024, I undertook what I'd probably consider the greatest little adventure I've ever been on. In my home country of Australia is the Murray River, the longest river in Australia at around 2,500 kilometres. This was something I wanted to do since I visited the Hume Dam years ago, and the stars just happened to align that I had the opportunity to do it at the best time of year. I used an old fiberglass Canadian canoe that I picked up off Gumtree years ago, and I already refurbished it. It was heavy to the point that I couldn't pick it up to carry it without help, and that was without the mountain of gear that I'd be loading into it. But I'd still personally prefer that over a lightweight kayak. Being able to stand up and stretch, while difficult, is a huge luxury while you're on the water. Is generally considered the best time to start the journey as it avoids the extremes of winter and summer. After finding that out, I only had a few weeks to get my act together and get down to Albury to set off. Some people will start the trip closer to the mouth, which is awesome, but the conditions can apparently be a lot sketchier depending on water levels, especially when you're in a larger vessel. So I made my sensible decision to set off from the western side of the Hume Dam at a little spot called Munnabarina Reserve, directly south of the Albury airport. The total distance was roughly 2,100 kilometres of river. It's very difficult to calculate the exact distance, but I'd settled that it'd be more than enough to satisfy my paddling urges. In total, the trip took 66 days, averaging around 32 kilometres per day. The natural flow of the river gave a noticeable boost to speed for the first few days, lulling me into a false sense of security, but that didn't last, and it inevitably turned into a consensual battle against nature. Easily the hardest and most grueling experience I've had in my life, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. I know this is a long preamble, but I thought I'd just get out of the way now. For those interested in the gear required, I'll quickly run through what I took and what I decided I didn't need during the trip and either threw out or gave away. Equipment from left to right is a sleeping bag, hiking tent, compact tarp, rain jacket, folding shovel, a couple shirts and pairs of jocks, easy clamps, a Bluetooth speaker, a folding solar panel, a battery bank, 6 litres of water storage bottles, and I didn't want plastic because it'd be sitting in the sun for weeks, a life straw ascent, a thermos, a video camera and some SD cards, a headlamp, a tablet device, just mainly for reading, a battery bank, aluminium hiking pots, say what you will, gas burner with 3 canisters, a canoe bow lamp, 2 dry bags, a canvas backpack that I waxed to prevent moisture, didn't do much, and a waterproof storage tub. Not pictured is my canoe trolley, the paddle, a fishing rod, and a folding camp chair, which, as you'll see, may have been the most beneficial piece of equipment that I took. For food, I wanted about a month's worth before I had to do a major resupply into town. Protein was my primary focus, so I would reduce muscle fatigue as much as possible. So I had 10 backcountry cuisine freeze-dried ground beef, just plain, 12 assorted Radix nutrition freeze-dried meals. They're, really nutritious but pretty disgusting. 2 pouches of instant mash, which was fantastic. A few instant soups and spices and dried pastas. A bottle of multivitamins, some leftover whey protein, and not pictured was a bottle of some nasty BCAA powder that I mixed with a greens powder to make something truly abominable, but I'm sure it helped. Of the gear I took, what I deem unnecessary was the raincoat, the shovel, the Bluetooth speaker, and 2 of the 3 gas canisters. You really only need one. It's not hard to get another one if you need it. This all packed up very neatly, and basically that was it. One last thing, the quality of the filming over the first 2 days was pretty scuffed. I used my old JVC camcorder because it was waterproof, but it died a couple days in anyway, and I also lost a fair bit of footage. So I switched to filming on my Samsung Note 20 Ultra, which I bought for its high-end camera, and that really paid off because the quality is so far above that old camera. The first few days are a bit of a mess, but after that, I really felt like I did the river justice because it's such a beautiful part of the country. Um, anyway, let's get to it. I made my first stop in Corowa Caravan Park. A really nice bloke and his family watched my canoe while I ran into town and grabbed a cushion. I thought if I was going to sleep on the hard ground, I might as well have a pillow for my head. I had a chat with him and had a beer, and then I set back off. Just before Lake Mulwala, I set up camp and had some unexpected guests. These were locals who said this was their little hideaway spot. Absolutely top blokes, all drinking non-alcoholic beers, of course. One of the blokes named Al gave his number and said he'd give me a ride around the Yarrawonga Weir. And that was the next day. So I didn't have to drag my canoe through half the town. Having already torn off both my carry handles, this was an offer I just couldn't refuse. Thanks again, Al.
It's lived in about 7 weeks of the year. And that's it. And it's a house, a big fucking roaring house.
So I'd been pulled up by a maritime cop a couple days back just to chat about life jacket stuff. And he informed me there was a French guy doing the same trip that was a day or so ahead of me. I've been hoping to catch him, so I've been doing some pretty long hours on the river. Lo and behold, when I landed to set up camp on day 4, there was a French man waiting. This was Dylan. And just like that, we became a band of 2, brought together by the same goal and the same destination. Lady and her daughter that I met on a houseboat had told me to check out Strawberry Fields. She didn't tell us any more than that. We didn't venture all the way in, but it was really interesting nonetheless. As far as I know, it's a property that hosts hippie-style bush doofs. It was a little bit spooky, to be honest, because it was a quiet day, but very interesting. Somewhere around Barmer, we spotted a chap having a little nap next to his sea kayak on the bank. I assumed he was a local and he was just vibing out on the river, so we just paddled past without saying anything. Day 10 was a short paddle. I popped into this little riverside vineyard and I waited for Dylan, but the staff was so accommodating, we ended up staying all day and we got a little bit messy. This is a good time to mention that DUI laws apply to kayaks and canoes as well, even if you haven't got a motor. It's a strange law, but it's still the law. So eventually we left the vineyard and we just set up camp around the bend. Our boats must have just floated there on their own. Remember that guy that was sleeping on the bank the day before? Well, that evening we saw him paddling past our campsite and we called him over. This was Luke. And just like that, we were a band of 3.
1, 2. Mark Monk. That's a bloody weir. There we go.
After Barham, the banks were getting really muddy, the kind where you'd sort of sink up to your knees trying to get out of your boat. So we were really struggling to find somewhere to camp. Just as the light was getting low, a bloke and his family on a pontoon spotted us, and he said we could camp at his riverfront spot. It was much appreciated. His dog did piss on my cushion, unfortunately, but that's okay. So we had a really bright moon on the 19th, so we all decided to try out a night paddle. I think it was maybe 4 a.m. when we set off. It was an incredible experience.
Boy. What a good boy. It's a big fire.
I don't have heaps to say or heaps of footage about the towns we visited, but Robin Vale was an interesting place. It seemed like halfway between a farm town and a river town, but the main street is dominated by Asian-owned stores. It was allegedly due to immigrants who worked on the farms nearby purchasing a lot of property. And as far as I could tell, it seems to be thriving, and we had a pretty fun time there. 15 or so weirs between us and the mouth. This was the first with a navigation lock, which you paddle into and you get lowered down to the river level after the weir. I didn't know any of this before I started. I just knew there was weirs. But basically you call the lockmaster ahead of time, and if you have reception, and he'll let you in. Across the weirs, the lockmasters were so accommodating. It might have been their job, but they really helped us out with information and assistance if we asked. So Mildura is a proper big town and roughly the halfway point of the journey. We resupplied a fair bit there, and we camped just before town so we could walk in. Now is probably a good time to mention that we never had any trouble from anyone while camping. Not the council, not other campers, not maritime police. It was just perfect.
Fantastic. That's Mildura for you. Very cool. Bit sketchy. Very exciting.
After Mildura, the landscape changes started to become more noticeable. I filmed a lot more in the second half of this trip, mainly because the sense of urgency was alleviated. I've been thinking from the start that if I made it to Mildura, then I'd make it the whole way. And there was still some serious paddling and some other hurdles we'd encounter. But when they say it's about the journey and not the destination, I really would have to agree. The sights I'd see before reaching the ocean took my breath away, and there were moments like that every single day. Wentworth is where the Darling River joins the Murray, and it marked the start of the longest stretch of river without a resupply point. We estimated it would take us 7 to 10 days to reach Renmark, so we filled our water, bought some food, and we set off. As we were dropping down the lockmaster informed us that the blue-green algae from the Darling would make the river water unpotable, even if we filtered it and even if we boiled it. We were already pretty loaded up, so not one of us had 7 to 10 days of water. So we'd be getting a little thirsty in the coming week. We also started battling near constant southerly winds that were often strong enough to turn my canoe sideways and either push me back upstream or push me into the bank. But that was a me problem. You know, it was a big canoe. We ended up nicknaming it the barn door because as soon as the wind picked it up, it would just swing.
Very cool. Good night, sweet prince.
Goodbye.
I'm happy for it to be gone.
Goodbye. Our word, beloved.
See you to summit. Your video. Bye, Luke. Meh. Moo. Devil's elbow, eh?
At some point, someone had informed us of a landmark known as the Devil's Elbow. I don't know exactly what caused the Devil's Elbow to have such unique terrain, but it was a sight to behold.
Very good. Little ant. Frenchman.
So this was where we moved into South Australia. We knew camping would be a little bit trickier from here on out, as there wasn't crown land along the bank anymore. That being said, other than a couple outliers, it wasn't too hard to just pull up and set up camp. We just had to be a bit more mindful of private property. Also, it was getting cold.
Body high. We've done it. We've done it.
In the final push to get to Renmark, we did a 50-kilometre day. All of us were dehydrated, and I'll admit I was feeling pretty messy. But we got there, and we spent half a day just recovering and enjoying the town.
Very. They've come. Disgusting.
In Berry, we pulled up at a little reserve park just before town. It was a nice town and it was a nice campsite. However, one thing we didn't notice was the pop-up sprinklers. So they came on in the middle of the night. One of them sprayed straight through my tent. This wasn't the last time I'd be having this experience on this trip either. ran into a big group of people doing a day trip in canoes. A nice group, so we decided to take the same path as them. So we diverted past Loxton and instead we went through Catarapco.
Nice.
On day 50, we took a gamble on a shortcut,
Oh yeah?
which at this point the shortcuts were 50-50, you know, good and bad. It turned out taking a lot longer than if we had avoided it, but I'd say it was worth it because in the end it was hilarious and we got to experience some really interesting terrain.
This is fine. He's stuck. Come on. Nice.
When we set up camp at Overland Corner, we ran into a few people who told us there was a hotel across the river. So we headed over and that's where we ran into Craig, who just so happened to live in Goolwa, the final destination of the trip after reaching the mouth of the river. We had a jolly time at the Overland Corner Hotel.
Okay.
I like us on his head. What's that sign? Just watch your legs. This fucker doesn't know how to stay in the middle of the road. He uses braille, so your legs might get nutty. Frenchie, you fucking Frenchie kissing. Ah!
Just take care of it.
Yeah, just keep it warm for me.
Hungover to varying degrees, the party set off at different times. I think Luke may have taken, half a day to relax because he ended up taking a few days to catch back up. So day 53 started out as beautiful as any other, but it turned into one of the strangest days that I had on the river. This was after leaving Waikerie.
What's this?
Oh, look. Hey!
At this point in the trip, the party was a little bit all over the place, but one of the guys was part of a Facebook group dedicated to kayaking the Murray River, and there was an absolute machine named Scott that we'd heard about, and we nicknamed him Crazy Scott, and that was simply because he was powering along in a sea kayak doing up to 60 kilometers per day. On the evening of the 55th, he rolled into camp. He himself was struggling to find a viable campsite, but we had a really good chat, and the next morning we both went on our way.
There was thunder in that cloud before. I don't know if you heard it.
No. Last one, I'm all alone. You can't park there. Big Bend, right?
Probably a good time to mention that you would see constant damage that have been caused by floods. A common sight was just seeing uprooted trees, people's homes, boats, docks, and whatever else that had just been annihilated by floods. The area around Walker Flat was no different. At the general store slash pub, I had a great evening with some locals and a really nice bike packer, whose name I unfortunately can't recall. I set up right near the ferry dock, and the locals told me that was okay, and I crawled into my tent. And then the midnight sprinklers turned on.
Hello! Bow Hill.
To get a little bit creative with the campsites, they were getting increasingly hard to find at this stage of the trip. Long stretches of overgrowth right up to the bank. If the sun was going to go down, you really had to find somewhere, and you just sort of took what you could get.
Pretty sneaky little stealth camp tonight, across from the houseboats. Not much going on here. Got my friend Johnny in the suit. Yeah. You're not more camping in South Australia. Just gotta find it and take what you can get. Bloody frogger.
We'd all agreed to meet back up before the final leg of the trip. I believe Dylan was waiting for me in Manham, and then we both waited for Luke, who was close behind.
Manham. Very good. Ooh. Ooh. Murray Bridge or fucking Silent Hill? What the fuck? Nearly there. Nearly at Murray Bridge. Riverglades. Alright, there's Murray Bridge number 1. Number 2 behind it, I think. There it is. Murray Bridge. It's a long bridge. Last bridge of the trip. Would you believe it? Cold. Tail and bend, yada yada. Couple bums. Run club.
Were getting pretty damn chilly by this point, and Luke's lack of a tent or sleeping bag was absolutely having an effect. He had a wool blanket that someone gave me on the trip, but it was a pretty concerning sight to wake up to this. The final push of the journey was to navigate and cross Lake Alexandrina, a 50-kilometre wide body of water that is considered by far and wide the most dangerous part of the trip, to the point that it's completely common for people to end the trip at the lake. The lake is deceptively shallow, and combined with the wind, it can cause choppy waves that will swamp your vessel. Between the three of us, I was probably most at risk of sinking, as my canoe would just hold water if it got in. But it was sketchy for everyone, and the other boys had internal compartments that could fill up with water, if they went under, so it was dodgy. As gung-ho as the rest of the trip had been, this was the one part of the trip we decided to err on the side of caution. Crossing across the center of the lake is unnecessary and very dangerous. If the weather got too turbulent, you'd be stuck 5 to 10 kilometers from the nearest bank. So we stuck within a kilometer of the eastern bank where we could, which still meant we had to deal with some nasty chop, but we could pull into the shore if it got too treacherous, which at points it did. We even managed to get completely turned around while paddling in heavy fog.
Sketch. This is our first camp, about, I don't know, 3 kilometres onto the lake, and we're not even onto the lake yet. Unnavigably windy and wavy. Everyone's swamped. Everyone's angry. Anyway, catch you next time, my followers.
Think twice.
preamble.
She's been crying.
Yeah.
She's got blisters on the soles of her feet. She can't walk, but she's trying.
Awake.
Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you and me in paradise. Oh, think twice, it's just another day for you and me in paradise. Just think about it. Oh Lord, is there nothing more anybody can do? Oh Lord, there must be something you can say. You
Nice.
can tell from the lines on her face. You can see that
Not
she's
dead yet.
been there.
Made it.
Probably
garage.
been moved on from
There's
it.
someone waiting here for us.
Cause she didn't fit in there. Oh, think twice, 'cause it's another day for you and me in paradise. Oh, think twice, it's just another day for you
Oh, that's
and me in paradise. Just think about it.
This doesn't feel safe at all. Look at that. That's not good.
Think about it. It's just another day for you and me in paradise. It's just another day for you and me in paradise.
So fucked. The last paddle. Yeah. Oh.
And we'd made it. That night we had dinner at a pub and promptly collapsed at a waterfront playground reserve. In some kind of sick, ironic twist, I decided it'd be funny to sleep my last night in a pirate ship. I don't know, I was dehydrated. The next morning, I got in contact with Craig, who we'd met weeks earlier. And he turned up and he threw my canoe, which was now his canoe, on his ute, and we all went back to his house for a little 9 a.m. sort of party thing. Craig was, and he is, an absolute legend, and I'll definitely be visiting him next time I'm in South Australia. So I got picked up by one of my very good friends. The other boys, I think they jumped on buses, and we all went our separate ways. I set out on this journey so I could fulfill my desire for a physical challenge, and I got that in droves. I also wanted to perform an exercise in solitude, and I got that too, but I also met some of the greatest and kindest people over those 2 months, and I made friends I will probably have for life. And that's the end of our little adventure, and it was incredible. I couldn't have asked for it to go any other way. However, there's one little thing, I want to be sort of real at the end here. We asked a lot of people for advice, and mainly older people, whether they were caravanners, campers, houseboat people, and they all basically said the same thing, and that was to do this stuff while you can do it. There was a lot of envy, from these people, and they were great people, and it was in a nice way, but you have people in their 70s, maybe 80s, and they can't do something like this anymore. And, I'm sure they had their own adventures, but that was their advice. Do it while you're young and while you can. And I think they were absolutely correct. Thanks for watching, guys.